So I'm not going to get into this because I literally had a time this weekend. For those of you who follow me on Twitter, you probably know this already, but I feel like we constantly have this conversation. We constantly get into this, and it's so annoying, and I hate seeing it, and it's always brought up. It was brought up in Volume 4 when Black Sun was a big talking point, and people were shitting on, like, they're like, yeah, Black Sun's is the way to go, fuck Bumbleby shippers. And then Volume 5, it was a thing when Weiss was talking to Yang about Blake, and then when they saw each other in the finale, it was a big deal with the whole Adam thing in Volume 6, and then it was a problem in Volume 7 when all Yang did was compliment Blake's hair, and it's a problem now because they're embracing each other and they're happy to see each other. It's so annoying. It's like the same people complaining about the same things that they already know they don't like. And I get it. Like, I get it because I used to be there, dude. I swear I used to be there. I think Volume 4, and I've talked about this. For those who haven't seen the video, I posted a video, this is like a year or so ago. It was me and Killaxon. It's called Murder of Birds versus the RWBY fandom. It's an hour and a half. It's basically like an interview style video where she like asked me questions about my involvement in the community, some of the talking points and topics that have happened over the years. And like one thing I mentioned is that I'm not really big into shipping. I've never been a big shipper. I've never shipped anything. I discovered shipping from Volume 2 of RWBY. And the worst that it ever got for me was Volume 4, when I used to be someone who watched the show, and I used to get annoyed that people would talk about ships when all this other cool shit was happening. It's like, bro, there's all this other shit happening. But here's the thing. That was also 4 years ago. I've really matured out of this idea that the other people enjoying something that I'm not honing into should have no bearing on my enjoyment of the show myself. And I just kind of grew out of that. It's looking back on it, it's kind of cringe and kind of embarrassing that I really used to get upset that like, oh shoot, listen to this cool music. Look at this dope fight scene. Look at the plot being forwarded. Look at this new Grimm. Oh man, but I go on social media, I go on Facebook, I go on Twitter, and all I see people talking about is Black Sun. And it's like, that used to actually like get under my skin a little bit. But I kind of grew out of that, and I'm just like, a high tide raises all ships. No pun intended. Yo, I swear to God, I'm not even joking. I didn't mean to say that. No, okay. What I meant, okay, well, I meant to say that, but no pun intended. What I meant to say was that why is it a big deal that this group of people watches RWBY for the animation, this group of people watches RWBY for the plot, this group of people watches RWBY for the ship, this group of people indulge in all different facets. We're all watching the same show. If this group supports it and this group supports something and this group supports something and this group supports something, then it raises RWBY regardless. It brings more viewers, it brings more money, revenue in, it brings more of the show. And that's where I really was like, this is fucking stupid. It doesn't matter. Like, it really doesn't matter what anyone decides to watch this show and get. It's the same thing with like video game elitists. Like, oh, if you don't play the game on the hardest difficulty, on super ultra mega max difficulty, and don't get hit and beat the game at the fastest speedrunning level, then you're not a real gamer. And anytime Blake and Yang are on screen, it's gonna be an issue somewhere for someone. I said I didn't want to get into it. I'm getting into it. I had some hot takes on Twitter this past weekend because like there are people that are like, this is gonna overtake anything. People are only gonna be talking about this. They're not gonna talk about the nuke. They're not gonna talk about Watts roasting Cinder. They're not gonna talk about Ironwood's ultimatum. And it's like, well, no, you think that's gonna happen because you're so fixated on knowing for a fact there are people watching this show that this is gonna be the highlight of the episode for them. Like, one of my hot takes was like, I honestly feel like people that bitch and complain about Bumbleby are thinking about it and talking about it just as much as the Bumbleby shippers, which is kind of counterintuitive to their whole movement of like, if you don't like something, but you still give it the time of day, it's engagement either way. You know, people think that likes and dislikes on YouTube matter. They don't matter. Like, watching a video and leaving a dislike or leaving a like it's engagement nonetheless. It just shows the algorithm that this is what people want. This is what people are supporting. And it's with these two characters, right? If Yang mentions Blake in passing, like, do you think she thinks less of me because of Amity? oh, that's forced, that doesn't make any sense, why are they doing this, that's pandering. Blake and Yang embracing each other after killing Adam because he was trying to kill them. This is just for the shit. Like, every little thing with these two characters is just, is this gonna be something that's constantly brought up whenever these two are on screen? The key point of this, like, we had this conversation last volume when Yang complimented Blake's hairstyle. Like, someone left a fucking rude, disgusting comment in my text-to-speech, which is why I don't do text-to-speech anymore. Do you really need to go that far to basically tell a group of people the way you watch the show isn't the right way to watch the show, and I'm not a fan of that, and I'm going to let other people know how much I dislike it? Would you rather people, and even if people just watch for the ship, I don't think that influences the show. I don't think that influences the writers. Nobody besides Miles and Carrie can really say for certain if this was planned from the beginning. You can argue the execution if you want. You can argue the pacing or if it was rushed or whatever, but guess what? I think every ship in this show has been rushed. I think Renora was rushed. I think Arcos. It's twofold too, because on one side it's like, well, this isn't natural. This is forced. This is pandering. But then on the other side, it's, oh, just do it already. Just confirm it already. It's like, but then if they do it already, then you're still going to complain that it was rushed and forced, even though you're claiming that you want them to just get it out of the way. If anything, the fact that it's still ongoing, it should show that they're handling it with care. And the people that it does impact are appreciative of that because they can do a bunch of different things with it. I literally saw a comment in Discord that was like, this is gonna overshadow the episode. This is all people are gonna talk about, when in reality it was just that person talking about it. And then I made my takes, and obviously everyone has an opinion on social, and that's whatever. I was expecting that, but like at the same time, it's like, can we really talk about something else? Are we still talking about Bumbleby being an issue for people in 2021? If you already are like dead set in your head that you don't like the direction of it, I don't think it's gonna get any better for those people who are still complaining about it in 2021. If you think it's gonna happen, or if you think things like this are like get under your skin, like, it's not even this that gets under my skin, it's the fact that like I cover the show, I talk about it, and I see so much, and like I grew out of being upset about what other people like in the show long time ago, and that was a maturity thing. That's something that 4 years later I can look back on and I'd be like, yeah, I at least understand because I was in that position. Now, I'm not saying it's the people that genuinely feel like there's some criticism that can be directed at this, at whatever development they're doing for Blake and Yang, but like this idea of like, this is bad for the show, this shouldn't be happening, this ruins things. I don't know. I just feel like it's only forced when it's not on screen. Like, I legitimately feel that. It's always forced whenever they do something to push it a little bit forward, but it's not forced as long as it's not on screen. I think this was harmless. I think this was fine. I think this was, you know, for as much as people say that they want subtlety and they don't want things thrown in their face, this was pretty subtle. Like, it just shows that they care about each other and they're glad the other person's okay. They haven't seen each other in like 4 days. It's just a relationship being shown and being developed as time goes on. They're in the middle of a fucking war. What, you want them to just confess their love and start making out on screen right now? Like, that's tacky, that's tasteless, that has no payoff. It's just gratification for the sake of moving on to something else, so you don't have to worry about it being confirmed or not confirmed, which then again, if that's the case, it probably, maybe this isn't your cup of tea, and that's okay, but I don't know. I wish people were just a little bit more honest. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say about Blake and Yang. I don't think they're the worst thing to happen to this show, but it's unfortunate that whenever we get to points like this, it's like, this is always going to be a point of conflict with some people. I don't know. I'm just not a self-proclaimed shipper. Like, I can understand a relationship blossoming or developing, and I could like that for the show, but I'm not a self-proclaimed shipper, no.